many women are not willing to give birth to more children, or many women are not giving birth to more children in places like Canada, United States, UK, and other developed countries. There's this thing that have been going about. Birth rate is dropping, fertility rate is dropping. Many of these figures that talks about the number of women giving birth or even willing to give birth, all the figures are dropping. Most times you see people saying, oh, we just hit a new low, right? So the question is, what exactly is happening? Is it that women no longer want to give birth to more children in these countries, or is there something deeper? Well, so from all indication and a lot of research, a lot of interviews that has been happening so far, the is like the conclusion is the same, right? The conclusion is the same. And what is that conclusion? The conclusion is that it is financial pressure that is actually making it more difficult for women to give birth. It's not because women don't want to give birth to more children. All right. So in other words, it is not about does a woman want to give birth to more children. It is about can that same woman afford to give birth to more children? You see, that's the real question. Can women afford to give birth to more children? And we are talking about including the first child, whether you're giving birth to your first child or you're giving birth to your next child, right? So can women afford to give birth? There are people who are currently delaying even having their first child because they are not financially ready. Somebody can say, oh, don't worry, you're going to figure it out. But in a lot of developed countries, that's not how things work, right? Like, if you are financially trapped, you're financially trapped. You have to put the figures together and see if it's going to work. Because if your maternity leave, let's say you have a mortgage and your maternity leave, nobody is going to give you nobody's going to give you a waiver of paying your mortgage just because you're maternity leave, right? So whether you're maternity leave and you're getting half of your salary or you're not even getting anything, if you have a mortgage, you still have to get it paid. If you have a car loan, you still have to get it paid. You still have to fend for yourself and for the child that is coming. So it's not just about, oh, when we get there, we're going to figure it out. That's not how things work here, right? So the point is, many women are not giving birth to more children, not because they don't want to, but because they cannot afford to do so. And there's a recent article from BBC. One of the BBC correspondents, her name is Anne. She just released an article recently, and I read that article. I was like, wow, because that article, yes, they spoke to humans, they spoke to people, they spoke to professors, they spoke to women that have even given birth, right? And they did a lot of interviews, but eventually they still agreed with that conclusion that what is actually happening is that is financial pressure that is stopping many women from giving birth, aka is financial pressure that is responsible for the constant drop in birth rate, constant drop in fertility rates in many developed countries. All right. So one of the women they talked about, her name is Rachel May. So Rachel said that I'm telling you about lived experiences of people, right? So in that article, Rachel said that she said it took her 4.5 years of IVF treatment before she gave birth to her first child. And she was saying that it was extremely difficult for her to survive on maternity leave pay. Right? Does that sound like something maybe you have seen people go through, or maybe you yourself have gone through, right? So this woman, she was trying to give birth, perhaps 1 or 2 issues here and there. She has to undergo treatment. Yet, it took her 4.5 years before her baby came. And just imagine that same period, you are in and out of jobs, it's difficult. And this is her first child. Do you think, how likely is it that Rachel May is going to give birth to a second child? When? Maybe she will, right? Maybe she will. We can't say never. But when? Maybe it will take another 5 years to recover from the one she went through. Maybe before then she's already in her 40s, which can easily make things even more difficult. Do you see the point? So Rachel May is one of the people that the BBC article on birth rate is dropping due to financial pressure interviewed, and her experience is resounding some of the things I have been saying, that women are going through a lot. Motherhood is throwing a lot of curveballs to women, especially financially, and of course that's why you need to prepare. That's why you need to prepare. So they spoke to another woman, Ima, right? Ima has 2 children. One is 2 years, one is 6 years, right? And Ima was saying something like, she was saying that, can you imagine, she could not have her 2 children attend nursery at the same time. What does that mean? Like, she couldn't really put them in daycare at the same time. Somebody may be like, what do you mean? That's because a lot of time, right? Daycare for 2 children, the amount is not the same. So if you're putting 1 child on daycare versus you are putting 2 children, right, you have to pay more. So somebody who doesn't have money may not even afford to put 2 children on daycare or nursery, as the case may be. Right? So at the end of the day, how does that affect her? How it affects her is that maybe she will say, okay, one of the child should go to nursery, the other one stays with her. Remember, in countries like Canada, UK, US, you can't leave a child alone. So when they say one of the child is with you because you cannot afford to send 2 of them to daycare, like, it sounds like, oh, it's just a statement. No, let me bring the story home, right? What is actually happening there is that you are with a child. So does it mean you're going to go to work with the second child? That's when you see a woman, even though you had a very awesome career, you may end up saying, you know what, I'm just going to look for something part-time so I can stay at home with the child, because I can't afford to put 2 children in daycare. So again, I keep saying this thing, that most times when women give birth, apart from taking a financial hit during the pregnancy and early childhood phase, it also makes it more difficult for women to bounce back because of the new reality you see yourself in, right? So Ima had 2 children, and this is one of the things she have to go through, not being able to put 2 of the children in nursery at the same time. There are many women like Ima everywhere who are struggling through the same thing. All right. So in the same BBC article, right, so the correspondent, they also spoke to like a government representative. Of course, what are you expecting a government representative to say? So they said what you may expect. One of the things they said was that, oh yeah, women get a lot of support. It's not just maternity leave. Even if you say maternity leave pay is not enough, women get a lot of support. Women get child benefits as well, and all of these things, right? I get it. True, some women get those things because a lot of other women may not qualify. But some women get those things, right? But the question is it really enough? But what I picked from that response from a government official is that, hey, government is doing the best we know how to do, right? So that still brings me to the point that as a woman, you can't really sit and fold your hands and be waiting for the next best thing government is going to do for you. Because that may mean, if it takes how many, I don't know the amount of years or months or days, I don't know the amount of time it's going to take for things to change. Are you going to wait and suffer waiting for things to change? No. My advice for you is take the bull by the horn, own your struggles. Okay, as a woman, I'm going to go through these things, or I'm already going through these things. What can I do to get out of it? And this is one of those cases where prevention is 10 times better than cure. Prevention is 10 times better than cure. What does that mean? If you can put your finances in order before your first or next child arrives, do it. If you can put your finances in order before your first or next child arrives, do it, because it is going to just help you in various ways. It's going to even help the child that is coming. It's going to help your mental health. It's going to help your relationships, since you are not going to be overly stressed out and, you know, cutting everybody away from your life because you just can't tolerate what is actually going on. You're so irritated by the realities of life. And when I say these things, somebody may easily feel like, oh, you're talking about this thing for the person that have not given birth. No, if you have not given birth, I mean, you are the best person to hear this. But even if you have given birth to one child, you can still put your finances in order before the next child arrives. Because what you see is that a woman gives birth, she's struggling with the first child. Before you know, she's pregnant again. 2 children. Before you know, she's pregnant again. 3 children. It's as if at that point, life becomes so difficult, and it becomes so difficult that it's not so easy for you to bounce back at all, because by the time you have 3 children, there's just like there's little, okay, your capacity to bounce back decreases based on the number of children you have. That's when you would not see a lot of women, they'll just give up and just be like, you know what, when my children go to college, I'll start. When is that? Maybe when you're in your late 50s, right? Or you at least in your 50s. Is you want to start life when you're in your 50s? Yes. Many of us must have heard, oh, when somebody was in their 50s, that was when they started the business that made them to grow. But if you go and look at it, that statement is correct, but in a way, it is just part of the story. Most of those people that started life at 50 and made it, they were not folding their arms throughout their life until they got to 50. They've been doing things that led to that moment. Many women ambitions are crushed because of motherhood, and you don't want yours to go through the same thing. So if you have one child, prepare before your next child. If you have 2 children, prepare before your next child. If you have 3 children, prepare, because even as those children are growing, you are still going to need finances. Then if you don't have any child at all, and you're a woman listening to me right now, in fact, count yourself very, very lucky, because it means you still have a lot of time to get things right before your first child arrives. Anyway, the summary of what we are saying here is this: that the real reason many women are not giving birth to more children in places like Canada, US, UK, and other developed nations is not because women don't want to. It's because many women cannot afford to have another child, especially because of financial pressures, right? And that government feels they are doing what they can. We can debate that, right? We can debate that all we can. But the point is this: take the bull by the horn. Take back control of what is happening in your life as a woman, and fight. Part of that fight is how to put your finances in order. For example, that is why I wrote the book Stock Market Mama. I don't know if you've read the book yet. Stock Market Mama. I put the description, or I put details about how to get the book at the description of this video, right? So you can get the book on Amazon, or you can get it directly from the publisher's website, right? You can get a soft copy from the publisher's website, which is www.investonomy.com. So get Stock Market Mama, for example, because some people will be like, so what should I do? Okay, you said all these things. What should I do? I don't know what to do. That's okay. So I wrote that book, Stock Market Mama, to explain how to use stock investment profits, to eliminate motherhood-related income interruption. You're going to love it, because it puts spotlight on a lot of the challenges women are going through. But not just that, it doesn't leave you hopeless or out of control. It shows you exactly how to take back control of your life and put it in order. All right. So again, I told somebody, I said, women under different circumstances will want to have as many children as we can, right? Under different circumstances, but except you put your finances in order, it will not be a choice that you get to choose. It won't be something you get to choose. You will be stuck with the least possible amount of children or child, or even no child, because you can't afford it. I want a world where women choose the number of children they want to give birth to based on the number of children they like to have, not based on the number of children they can afford to have. Right? Okay, so share this video with somebody. Share this video with somebody.